I'm here with Harrison Smith. Thank you for coming on the show, Harrison.
Thanks for having me.
For the lot of people in the audience who don't know who you are, you want to give a brief overview of your work, what you do, that kind of thing?
Sure. I'm the host of The War Room, which is the afternoon program on InfoWars. We go live each and every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. I just switched to the afternoon slot. I used to do the morning slot, so I'm still in. I have the my spiel for the morning show down pat. But yeah, the afternoon show, War Room, Infowars.com, band.video. We stream on X. And yeah, I've been doing this show for about 4 months, but I've been hosting a show for about 4 years. So that's what I do.
Our topic for today is Somali daycare scams, the cost of diversity, and in general. Let's go into like just the sheer amount of money they're sluicing out of the American taxpayer.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because fraud is just sort of the cherry on the sundae, right? I mean, when you talk about Somalis being brought over here, being given welfare to live here, being given everything for free, and then it's like, oh, but also the children didn't exist. It's like, well, all of it was bad. It was a fraud the entire time, pretty much. But also, there were never even any children. So, I mean, it's fraud upon fraud.
Oh, yeah. Like, the thing I noticed is that it parallels almost perfectly what I've been investigating with various visa fraud scams and employment scams involving Indians. Like a common thing you'll see, like there's so many people on like Twitter reported on this, like dozens or more of like Indian body shops. For the people who don't know what a body shop is, it's basically just a contractor that procures Indians to contract out to various corporations in the tech field. Dozens of them headquartered at the same address, which makes no sense and is very, very shady. I actually went into, I was living in New Jersey for a bit. I actually went and investigated a few of these addresses where you'll have there's like 50 of them headquartered at like one office suite and
right.
Eastland, all these other places. You go there, there's nobody there. There's like maybe a secretary. And if you won't find them on directories, like, the building directories, like they might as well not even exist. And if you ask people in the audience in the building, like, oh, how do I get to X body shop? They all have names like Alpha Tech or Future Tech or Akira Tech or something like that. They're like, what's that? I've never heard of that. Are you sure you're in the right building? It's like, yeah, it's what what they're filing with the New Jersey
like legally
says,
it should
it's
be
here.
this, yeah.
But like it's so bizarre, and it's like maybe this isn't outright illegal. I mean, I don't have evidence of that in these specific cases, but it's certainly real shady. But like the Somali daycare thing, ghost daycares, almost identical in terms of how this is going on.
Yeah, it's especially crazy with the childcare stuff because, I mean, if you're going to run a daycare, if you're going to run a preschool, I have family that runs a preschool. I mean, everything about it has to be perfect, right? Yeah. It's like the playground equipment has to be made out of a certain material, a certain height from the ground. You can't have wood chips. You have to have gravel. Like everything is down to the last minutia. And then you see these videos out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it's Somalis in just like a warehouse, just like frayed wires and just like buckets of gasoline.
And as we saw with the Quality Leering Center, they don't even proofread their own signs.
That's what's so crazy. And so to me, the whole thing is symbolic of so many. It's like so many threads that are all combining to be the rope that's strangling us, right? It's like the fraud, the immigration, the fact that it's just. America is set up now to where you're a sucker if you do the right thing. You're a sucker if you follow the rules. You're a sucker if you abide by the regulations because everybody else is scamming their way to millionaire status.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking about small businesses here. I guess these are technically small businesses we're talking about. The government... Everything is set up to screw Americans who actually follow the rules. Now, give an example. Up until this was going to be the case until a judge overruled it. But back in 2020, that omnibus budget bill that was passed at the end of the year, starting with last year, every small business, every LLC had to file a beneficial ownership report with FINRA, some kind of BS and money laundering thing. But the thing is, if you didn't file this by like January 1st, the federal government would hit you with a fine of $10,000 per day. This basically was designed to crush small businesses who
Right.
didn't know about this. Like, you know, you're running, I don't know, some small cafe in Iowa, whatever. You're an LLC, you don't know about this, and all of a sudden, you know, you get a notice that you've racked up $1 million worth of fines in
Right.
just January alone. That exists. Now, you know, I mean, a judge stopped it indefinitely, so that's a good thing. That was going to go into place, whereas you've got the Quality Leering Center or, you know, Alpha Bangalore, you know, Tech
Yeah.
LLC doing all this nonsense and getting away with it.
Not just getting away with it, getting paid tens of millions of dollars by the state,
Yeah.
and not seeing any children or anything else. It's what we're losing in this country is that character that says, like, because I feel like we've lost the understanding of like what liberty is, and to me, liberty is like you have to have vulnerabilities, you have to have soft spots in your society, and people that will not take advantage of that will not ruin it for everybody by going, oh, I can just say I'm disabled and then I get the benefits. And then it's like, well, now you've ruined it for everybody. So if we don't have the moral character to like uphold these systems, you know, this is what happens.
Yeah, the principle of liberty and everything that America is built on, it assumes that everyone is operating in good faith.
Exactly.
You cannot have people from cultures that revolve around scamming and taking advantage of the system coming into this because they're just going to bring it down. You can't have this stuff. And I lived in the third world for a good deal of time. This is exactly, you know, if you want to end up like Mexico or Brazil, not just in demographics, but just in how people behave and act, this is what you do. You let people in who behave like this.
And it's very easy to slip into that, and it's like impossible to get out of it. I mean, the reason that we have the society that we have now is because good men in the past basically forced everybody to be like this, and you know, and of course everybody decided in America that, you know, we understood that in order to have this great system, we had to behave a certain way. But it's so you can see it now, and I want to come up with a term for it, and I haven't found one yet. I've got AI working tirelessly, but like there's got to be some phrase that describes this pattern, this like trend that we're on. Because all I can think of is like the dog eat dog world, right? It's just this idea that eventually things become so corrupt that in order to succeed, you have to also be corrupt. You know what I mean?
That's basically the rule in the third world. You know, if
Exactly.
you're in a society where everyone is
Everywhere,
scamming one,
right?
Yeah, everyone is scamming. You have to scam yourself, or you're just going to get taken advantage of.
Or you're the sucker, yeah.
I mean, with regards to like, you know, the two tiers of where the Somalis and the Indians get treated this way and Americans get treated the other way, you know, it goes back to Sam Francis's concept of anarcho-tyranny.
Yes.
And this is going to proceed in like, you know, some other places. One of you know, I live in New York. One of Zohran Mamdani's campaign planks was to remove regulations so that, you know, it would be easier for you know, food trucks to get into operation. Now there is a lot of unnecessary regulation there. Like you need like a permit of like that costs $15,000 just to operate a food truck. But I guarantee you what he's going to do. Like he's not going to be some libertarian hero slashing stuff. He's not going to be Malay with the chainsaw. He's going to make it easier for like the barely legal halal food operators and the Mexican women selling tamales illegally in the subway. They'll be fine. But if you want to be an honest businessman in New York, you're still going to have to face those regulations. You're still going to have the gigantic stick of big government, abusive government just coming after you.
Yeah, I love that part of Mamdani because it's like the woman who ate the fly and then eats the spider, eat the fly, and then because what he's doing is he's setting up an entire new branch of the government. He's just setting up an entire new office that's like the Small Business Regulation Office, and it's so you force so many regulations that you now have to have a new office to help people manage the regulations that you're forcing on them. It's not libertarian. The obvious thing to do would be, wow, there's so many regulations, let's remove some of them. They go the opposite way. They go, the regulations are good, we're going to have a new office to teach people to deal with the bullshit we're putting them through. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're wanting to codify basically this two-tiered system. And like with regards to like specifically, you know, the fraud, source in Nevada, I mean, posted about this on Twitter around Christmas. Source in Nevada was going to seminars with the Medicaid division that handles that, the state agency, and the people who are responsible for investigating fraud straight up say in the presentation that that the state government does not give them enough resources to investigate fraud. It's basically a case where you can just walk in, take as much money as you want, leave, and nobody will do anything about it. This is under the purview of the Democratic Attorney General, whose name is eluding me. I believe he's actually running for governor this year.
It's not Ellison, is it? Where are you talking about?
Nevada.
Oh, Nevada, no, that's not.
Yeah, but basically, Minnesota is just the tip of the iceberg. That's where the worst, most visible fraud is going on. But I think it's happening everywhere. Hell, there was someone saying that this is going on in New York, and it wouldn't surprise me at all.
It's absolutely going on. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't be going on everywhere, right? I mean, some places it's obviously more concerted, concentrated, like Minneapolis. But I mean, the whole thing is rotten, and it's one of these things, and it's almost amazing that we live in a fractal conspiracy, is the way I like to put it. It's like no matter how much you zoom in, it just gets more and more corrupt, and then no matter how far you zoom out, it's all kind of the same basic thing, right? It's the same taking advantage of open systems, using white guilt as one of many psychological imperatives to trick people into going along with something, and it's all just sort of along the same line, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I've analyzed this a bit. You probably saw a couple months back when that Kiwi Farms post about the concept of Izzat in Indian culture was going around. This is,
saving face, right?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it's more developed than that, but basically there's similar versions of this across every third world country. And as I've defined it, it's the difference between what our morality in the West is guilt-based morality. They have shame-based morality. They're not the same thing. Guilt is the knowledge that you have done something wrong. Shame is the feeling that you are wrong. Shame is, again, about saving face, ultimately. Things that we would consider immoral or usually considered fine as long as you don't get caught, is that basically turns, in India's case, life into everything is a win or lose scenario.
Right.
It's about getting one over on the other person. But I've seen this in, I've seen this in Mexico. I've seen this in the Middle East, all the places I've been. I've even seen it in Albania. In Albania, they've got the concept of blood feuds where you've got people who are afraid to leave their houses because they might get killed by some family because their father or some relative of theirs stiffed them on a property deal 30 years ago.
Well, I mean, that's where civilization has to go when justice collapses, right? I mean, we're pretty much on the precipice of that. Right now, can you trust the justice system to deliver you justice? I mean, if your family member is murdered, do you really trust the judge isn't just going to go, well, he's mentally ill, he gets to leave now? So, I mean, we're getting to the point where people are going to lose trust in the justice system and go, I'm not going to, spend a year of my life and money and sitting in a courthouse just to have this scumbag who killed my daughter, get out or get to go to a mental hospital and live in comfort for the rest of his life. People are just going to take it into their own hands.
It's mafia morality. In the case of Albania, the communist government had suppressed all these blood feuds, and I'm not going to defend communism, but, it did provide a certain sort of law and order. But this all reemerged after the end of the Cold War because the new government was incapable of maintaining law and order. It was massively corrupt. So like you said, these systems emerge in the absence of fair rules, the rule of law, the genuine rule of law, not what liberals think is the rule of law. Fairness, all that. When that goes out the window, that's when these systems come back.
Yeah, and so it's almost just, it takes that second level of thinking to go, yeah, I could get something right now by breaking this rule, but if everybody did that, then the rule would be destroyed and then we'd live in chaos and that would be horrible. So I'm not going to do the thing that would be immediately convenient. It's like that second order thinking that seems to be absent.
It's Kant's categorical imperative. Morality is defined by what would be universally preferable. We're going away from that to it's Hobbes's war of all against all.
Yep.
We're manifesting it in reality. Thanks to mass immigration, all of this.
Yeah, and because everywhere else in the world is like this. And again, it's not even bad to say that, as you're pointing out, they almost just have a different morality. I would call it immorality, but there's videos you can see all the time. Indian politicians driving around in India throwing money out the window of their car. and being like, vote for me, here's money. To us, we'd be like, what the, you're not allowed to do that? That's such a violation. But like in India, it's like pay for votes, of course. And the people getting the money go, he gave me the most money, of course I'm going to vote for him. He's going to give me more money next time. And if he's got this much money, he must know something's up. So it's, it's stuff that they're doing in the open there because it's not shameful, it's not embarrassing, it's not immoral in their construct. And then they bring it over here and, So what's the big deal? We're rigging an election. Everybody rigs elections all the time. Yeah, in Mogadishu they do, but they're bringing that here.
I lived in Mexico for like 4 years. Mexico is a country where polling booths in opposition parts of the country might mysteriously go up in flames.
Didn't like 200 politicians die last election cycle? Like, it's crazy.
The midterms in like 2021, those were considered a success because like only like 150 or so people died.
That's, wild. Like, we're killed.
Yeah.
As like politician candidates that were murdered.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's just how they do things there. And it's like, I get it if people are going to behave, selfishly there, you have to, it's Mexico's not quite as bad as some other places, but it's still got that going on. But again, when they come here, and start behaving like that, they're not integrating or rather, they are assimilating, but they are assimilating to progressivism. That's the complaint of conservatives. Like all these immigrants, they won't assimilate. They're assimilating to what they see as the dominant culture, and what they see as the dominant culture is liberalism, leftism.
Yeah, because I was going to say they assimilate almost like aesthetically.
Yeah,
or they assimilate.
That's where you get someone
culturally on a surface level.
That's where you get someone like Ilhan Omar, who's basically a communist, but she's going around wearing the hijab, pretending to be like, "Oh, I'm a good, pious Muslim." They don't see a contradiction there.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's no pressure to assimilate. There's no necessity to assimilate. I mean, why assimilate if you can create this, balkanized communities? And I really like that you use in your intro the term Indian mafia. Mafia is just the right term for this, and I think sort of any ethnic issue you're talking about in America, the term mafia fits and works and is understandable, and it destroys the argument that you just are talking about Somalis because you're racist or whatever else. It's like there's an ethnic component. These are ethnic groups that are doing it within their ethnicity. It doesn't mean everybody of that ethnicity, just like the Italians. I mean, I think the fact that people can't put two and two together and go, no, this is just a mafia running. It's not good.
And in the case of the Indian, it's like, well, you're just mad because they outcompete you. They're smarter than you.
Right.
It's like, well, you don't need intelligence to like get a job as an Indian when like every company, like the hiring managers are Indian, the CTOs are Indian, and they only hire their own. If one group is hiring based on merit and the other one is based hiring on ethnic favoritism, the latter's always going to win out because they're looking out for their own people.
Yep, 100%. And it's a snowball effect, right? You bring in one, they bring in more, they bring in more. The faster it goes, the bigger it gets, the faster it goes.
Yeah, it's going on right here in Texas. Like I wrote an article recently, covering some of this stuff. There was a case up in I believe it's Salina, a suburb of Dallas. Indians outright rigged a municipal vote to install cricket pitches at a local development, even though most of the actual residents didn't want cricket pitches. Nobody plays that, but Indians.
What a petty, ridiculous thing to like be committing fraud over. That just shows this isn't like some like big thing. It's like, oh, they just want cricket fields and they have to cheat to get it, and that's fine.
It goes back into the shame-based morality. They'll do this stuff even like if it has no benefit or even only a minor benefit. Right. It's like it's in their DNA to steal. And again, if you grew up in one of these places, I understand why you would behave like that. The problem is importing it over here by bringing in so many of those people.
And having a native population that is still operating under perhaps now a delusional sense of, civic responsibility.
I mean, I think more people hopefully have woken up over the past decade. But yeah, there's still too many people operating on that. You see the people who are like, I don't care what color you are as long as you're the best candidate. And it's like, well, the problem is you could argue that racists are the only people who do judge people by their content of their character. Like we're not saying Indians, massive Indian immigration is bad because we don't like Indians. We don't like brown people. We're basing it on their actual behavior, what they do. Somalis, again, the same thing. We're basing it on the crime, the fraud, everything else. The possible sluicing of money to terrorist groups.
Yep.
We are judging these groups on the content of their characters, and the content has, I think, been found a little lacking.
Well, especially when the ethnicity of the people is a direct, cause of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we have so many Somalis in these certain areas is because they were dropped off there. I mean, this was a political move where they decided to basically grant entire congressional districts to certain ethnic groups. And a lot of times it was ethnically based, racially based. Like you've got all these stories 10 years ago about Maine is too white, the problem of Maine, and how do we fix the problem of whiteness in Maine? And of course, Somali neighborhoods get created there and they get dropped off there. So they're brought over on a racist base. Where they go is a racially based decision, and then they operate in ethnic enclaves. One of the most informative things I'd seen about Somalis really early on, after Nick Shirley first made his video, I was actually looking for his video and I saw another one. And it was a guy going around a Somali mall, and it wasn't about fraud. It was just about the fact that it was a Somali mall. And he's going, when people don't have business here, they just leave their stores. And the stores are open, and nobody steals anything. And he's walking around marveling at the society of trust that the Somalis have, where their stores in the malls, they just leave unattended because no one's going to steal anything. I think that's key to understand that, like, Somalis aren't just criminal by nature. They aren't just incapable of not stealing things when they steal things from other people, and they don't steal from inside. They don't steal from their own people. It's it's
interesting. It's kind of a parallel to like how I don't know if Minnesotans still do this, but like a common thing in northern parts of the country is if you drive up to like a convenience store, you're only going to be in there for 5 minutes. You leave the car running because like it's so cold, but no one's going to steal your car. It's like, it's such a high trust culture. Then you've got their own version of that where like, they'll steal, like you said, they'll steal from other people, but not from each other.
Well, and it's, the mall that they're in is all Somali people. So, it's like, and the white guy walking around filming, people are like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. I've been to the Twin Cities. I once walked through like I think it was Phillips, which is one of the Somali heavy neighborhoods. Everyone was giving me the side eye.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. It's like, obviously there are racial components to this, and then the defense is you're just a racist if you notice this, which is just the oldest joke in the book, but they're still running with it.
It's so utterly aggravating. Again, particularly from the perspective of like I said, going back to the whole business thing and how they're allowed to get away with all this fraud and Americans get screwed. I ran a small business for many years. I ran a publishing company. Every year, I'm filing my taxes, dotting my T's. I'm paying however much to the government every year. When I was self-employed, I'm pretty sure it seemed like the government was taking like a third of my income, particularly during years where it was like I was living below the poverty line.
Right.
Whereas again, they're taking money hand over fist, and you pointed out you're racist. You're just afraid of a changing America. No, I am just sick of forking over so much of my money to the government and following the rules and getting screwed, whereas they're becoming millionaires. They're sluicing so much money out for literal fraud. Yeah. That's what angers me. It goes down to a fundamental issue of fairness.
And of just straight up theft and of, it's so many billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. It's almost like impossible to imagine. I mean, I spend a good deal of time on my show just trying to like illustrate how much money we're even talking about here, just going, let's describe what you could buy with $10 billion, what we could achieve with $10 billion. And like, it's not a joke. Like we could have space stations on the moon. We could have it's unbelievable the amount of money. But even on just an individual basis, how many people with kids, how much of your life decisions are based around childcare, school districts? Like this, it changes people's lives whether or not they have to work and put their kid in daycare. We have no idea the downstream effects of all of these billions of dollars going to Mogadishu to fund terror organizations. I just picture the daycares that we could be funding, and I'm not even saying that's necessarily what you should do with the money, but just putting in context what has been stolen from us. The life improvements have been stolen from us. Or, I'll post things of, brand new airports in China that are just the most beautiful, Xanadu. It's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. People are like, yeah, but they're communists. And it's like, that's not the point. The point is, why don't we have this? Why can we not have
the point
nice
is that,
new things?
The point is that they're investing for their people. We're not. It goes back to like, say if you remember that Compact article from last month about the active discrimination against white men in employment. Like how many families that men could have gotten married, had families, built wealth, become wealthy. How much of that was destroyed through that active policy of disempowering white men?
Absolutely.
That's so much that has been lost over the past decade because of that policy of like discriminating against white men in employment and in education.
Yeah, and that's the classic thing, right? Is the examples of some farm kid in Kansas who gets a chance and ends up, creating some turbine engine or just something incredible. And we used to have a system that fed our best and brightest sort of into the positions where they would be most useful, and that has been cut off for the sake of diversity, which is right the point of this episode. I like the phrase diversity ad nauseum, right?
Yeah.
Diversity till you're sick, and it's the biggest irony in the world, right? Diversity is our strength. That's why we had to get rid of test grades, right? Diversity is our strength. That's why you all have to work till you're 67 now instead of 65.
Diversity is our strength. That's why lawyers no longer have to pass the bar exam to become lawyers.
Diversity ad nauseum, lowering the standard constantly, because diversity is not just a priority. It's the only thing that matters. Everything else can be sacrificed as long as that it's a religion.
The thing I look at is, in like at least the past couple of years, we had a massive swing among the populace in favor of mass deportations.
Yep.
And what happened there was, I've been in this for like more than a decade. People weren't really turned into like abstract arguments about like the declining white population or whatever. What got them to support mass deportations was when it started directly affecting everyone's quality of life.
Right.
When every single town, neighborhood turned into little Guadalajara, little Mogadishu, little Bengaluru. When you have crime, when you have stuff like, the eating of the cats and the dogs, that is what gets that's what pissed people off so much.
Sure.
When it started bothering. This is another direct attack on Americans' quality of life, this straight up scamming. And the fact that when it seems like every single Democrat of consequence in Minnesota was in on it, and how there are scams like this in every state, and the politicians are either in on it or they're just turning a blind eye.
They're absolutely in on it, and it is a straight up cycle that is so obvious and so simple. It's astonishing that they've gotten away with it this long. I mean, you bring people in, they agree to vote for you, you give them welfare, they give you a chunk of the welfare back as campaign funds, you get reelected again, continue that cycle until you are in charge, for life. It's so simple and easy, and I think people are waking up to it. When it affects your life, people will wake up to it. I do think, people will say we're in Weimar America. The difference is we have food, and actually things are very nice for almost everybody in America all of the time. As bad as things, are going and getting, and the white genocide, and I'm not trying to downplay any of that, but we're too comfortable. We're not. No one's gonna go to revolution when you can get Uber Eats.
We're not at like Great Depression levels of privation yet. We're not even at 70s levels, I don't think.
And the people in power are incentivized to keep us at least, stationary, comfortable. So I think people are waking up to it. People are waking up to the reality. To me, my struggle has always been to try to explain to Americans, in particular, that it doesn't make you a good person to be taken advantage of. Yeah. And it's not mean to stand up for yourself. Like that is, to me, that's the psychological barrier. Is the phrase so ingrained.
The phrase used in the past by some people on the right was taking your own side.
Yeah, sure, taking your own side. But even that, it's like, it's not even taking my own side. It's just like, this is wrong. This is wrong that this is happening, and it's immoral that it's happening, and it's right to stand up for it. And I think the same thing, like if I knew that another race was being targeted like white people, I'd be like, what the hell? Why are they doing that? Like, why is everybody celebrating black people going away if they were? Of course, they're not. But like, you don't have to be white to understand that it's wrong. You don't have to, be the person or the group that's affected to go, what the hell is going on? This is wrong. And that, I think, is what has been deliberately misconstrued in people's minds, is they think if you're standing up for white people, if you're standing up for Americans, it's because you hate everybody else or because you think you're superior or something. And that, again, it's kind of obvious, but like that's the basic thing we need to get over, is people being literally afraid to even talk about these problems. And I'm sure you've seen, if you ever talk to normies, I mean, try to bring up something like it's immediately just like, oh yeah, I don't know anything about that. I think I may have heard of something. I don't really know. I mean, they're scared. They're literally fearful of even addressing this. I think expressing to people like, dude, you're under attack. It's okay to be mad that your country is being destroyed.
They're committing crimes against you, your children, your patrimony. You have every right to call that out.
You don't have to take it. You absolutely don't have to take it. And nobody should be in favor of this. And every black person, every Hispanic person, every Asian person, every Jewish person should also be outraged at white genocide. are we not worthy of that fucking consideration? Like, we'd be mad if it was happening to you, but we can't get that consideration. And then white people don't even consider themselves in that same way. And that's really sick. Like, people really need to understand how bizarre and sick it is, the self-hatred of whites that is really paving the way for everybody else to take advantage of us.
And to conclude this subject, any final thoughts, Harrison?
Well, it's just that you can just like throw it on the pile of corruption. It seems like the last 10 years has been just an endless, like I said, like a fractal zoom. We've been zooming in for 10 years, and it seems like there's no bottom to the corruption, whether it's in the healthcare system. I mean, read RFK's book.
We haven't hit the Planck scale of corruption yet.
Exactly. Like we are still discovering new vistas of corruption, opening up before us. And it's just, hundreds of billions of dollars. And that's the fraud on top of the hundreds of billions of dollars that are being robbed from us from the supposedly legitimate or legal welfare systems that are being run. So frankly, like, if you want to look at the silver lining, it's like, we are amazing. Like, nothing can take us down. I mean, we are like an elephant walking with just spears sticking out of us and like nets thrown over us, and we're getting hit with nuclear bombs, and we're just chugging along.
Chugging along, ready to gore the next guy who comes around.
Yeah, and it's like America. I mean, what percentage of American people are actually like working and prosperous in the private sector, and they're funding everybody else in the world? I mean, so if you want to look at the silver lining, it's with all of this corruption, we didn't even notice it. We're so prosperous. We're so powerful. If we could get the parasites off our back and go to the moon and to Mars and different dimensions, it'd be really cool.
These remnants just attached to the taint of American greatness.
That's one way to put it.
The whale. Here, Harrison, where can people check out your work for those who want to follow what you do?
Best place to follow is on X at Harrison H. Smith. I have a Instagram as well. I think it's Harrison Hill Smith, but I hardly post there. Follow me on InfoWarsBand.video is our private hosting site. We're also on Rumble. Follow us at AJN Live at InfoWars. I do the War Room 3 to 6 p.m. If you really want to do something that I'll appreciate, call in. Call into the War Room, because we're a live show and we take calls. We don't screen them. So come say whatever you want on the War Room 3 to 6 p.m. and go to thealexjonesstore.com/Harrison to support me. That's all.
Come say whatever you want. I mean, don't take advantage of that, kids.
Oh, take advantage of it.
Yeah, he's a good Christian man.
That's true.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on again, Harrison.
Thank you.
And illegitimate non-coverundum. Don't let the bastards grind you down. I'm Matt Forney with Harrison Smith, and we are out.